All right, good morning. We're going to call to order the Fort Myers Sanibel Tourist Development Council. Today is November 13th, 2014. It's 9 a.m. This meeting is now called to order. Please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and may we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Larry Kiker.
Here.
Renee Afforded.
Here.
Fran Myers.
Here.
Doris Banks.
Here.
Pamela Cronin. Here. Tony Lappy.
Here.
Colleen DeCaswell. Robert Wells.
He's here. Colleen's here. I'm here.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Jeff Webb.
Here.
Kevin Ruane is excused.
All right, thank you. So we have a quorum. And just to begin, can we have Nancy McPhee come up and help us out with what I think is a great way to start a meeting? Good morning.
Thank you for letting me do this. Each year we have, we honor our Superior Small Lodging partners. This is a state association, and this includes lodging partners that have 50 units or less. And they put themselves through a rigorous inspection program, as do other destinations in the state of Florida. And they need to pass with 82% in order to stay in the program. And this provides them added marketing opportunities. And today we're honoring the White Glove Award winners. So 82% keeps you in the program, but 100% in housekeeping gives you the White Glove Award. So today we have 15 properties in Lee County that we would like to recognize. Some of them are here, so if I call the name of your property and you're here, please come up. And Lauren Blassing Jim, who helped me with the program this year, is going to hand you your plaque, and then we'll move you over and take a photo of the group. So in the Bokeelia, Fort Myers, and St. James City area, we have the Lasher House. I'm not sure if Cynthia is here. Many of these properties, you need to know, are run on a very small crew. They work very hard, from everything from checking in to taking reservations to cleaning. So we also have Legacy Harbor Hotel and Suites in downtown Fort Myers. The Tarpon Lodge on Pineland. Two Fish Inn, St. James City. On Fort Myers Beach, we have the Beach Shell Inn. We have Harbor House at the inn. We have Manatee Bay Inn Bed and Breakfast. Silver Sands Villas. And on Sanibel Island, we have Gulf Breeze Cottages. Mitchell's Sandcastles. The Palm View. I know they're here. Sandpiper Inn. He gets two. Shalimar Resort. The Signal Inn. And Waterside Inn on the beach. Thank you very much for letting us honor these White Glove Award winners today.
We like it when you shake hands. also want to thank everyone that has taken the time to go through these classes, because you either have to go through 6 or 7 classes, and they're 2.5 hours in length. So taking time away from our busy schedules to take the time to come and sit in a class and go through training, to me, is no small feat. And so for these folks that have been working so hard to reach their graduation, I am so incredibly proud and honored to be up here to recognize them today. So our last class was the largest class. We now have 107 certified guest service professionals in Lee County. So now we are well on our way to becoming the friendliest destination. And you know, in the beginning I said friendliest destination in the United States, but what the heck, all over the world, so that we can market that all over the place. So with that said, I'm incredibly proud. I'm going to call the names of everyone who did graduate. If you would just come up and receive your certificate and pen, and it's just going to kind of be a continuous loop. We don't take up too much time. So when you hear your name, please just come up front. Okay, we're going to start. Of our Lee County Airport ambassadors. Shannon Lee could not be here today. Laura Lee Mason with Hampton Inn and Suites. Maria could not be here. And then we have Carol Canetti, who is a Sundial Beach with the Sundial Beach Golf Resort. Not Golf Resort, Sundial Beach Resort and Spa. Golf course yet. Also can be here, Robert Stanman with the Westin Resort. Bob Strait of Lee County Port Authority, and one of my most entertaining participants. I couldn't help it. Holly Welker, who is the Sunset Beach Inn. Not anymore. Now with Public Suites. There you go. And last but not least, Stephanie Zimke, one of our very own ECB staff. Again, I am so proud, and congratulations to each and every one of you. I also want to make a point. You can see the entire class for those that could not be here today. Hello? I think I just went backwards, didn't I? I also want to point out that received her CD. He was also the nominated at the best. This does obviously take people to become CSPs and award winners. We are so and where are you there? Yay. I think that's awesome. Okay, so one other part to all of this is I was so excited because when Nicole King started the new hospitality program at Kaiser University, she she attended all my classes and became a CGSP. And she decided after going through all the classes that she wanted it to be part of the curriculum for that new hospitality program. So all of the students that are here today went to all of my classes and were able to earn their CGSP. And I just think that that's such a huge statement, again, for those that are choosing hospitality as a career. So with that said, Margot Anderson with Kaiser University, Bertie Sheridan, also with Kaiser, and her daughter, Soecha Sheridan, Chris McCoy, and Michael Schaefer. And those are all of our brand new CGSPs. Thank you so much.
Well, congratulations to all the recipients, and thank you very much for being here this morning. I know we're all busy people. We thank you for taking your time to be here. Next on the agenda, we need the approval for the minutes for August 14th.
Second.
So we have a motion by Renee, and was that Rob? And a second by Rob. Is there any discussion? Are there any objections? The motion passes. Thank you. Next we'd like to hear from the public, and we're going to open the floor up for anybody that would like to address this council. Yes, sir.
Good morning. For the record, John Naylor, Executive Director for the City of Palms Basketball Tournament. Yes, I flunked retirement one more time. Just a couple quick things. Just last week, Grassroots Prep, which is one of the most recognized rating services in the country, rated 14 of our 17 teams in the top 50, which is really incredible. Interestingly enough, Montverde from Orlando is number one, which is no surprise since they won everything last year everywhere. But their first game this year is against Huber Heights from Ohio in the first. They're number 8, so number 1 plays number 8 in the first round here this year, so it'll be kind of exciting. The other thing I'd like to announce is that the Horizon Council Tourism Award winner this year was Enterprise Holdings, and they have just signed on to be our presenting sponsor for the next 3 years. So we're glad to have Rob Wilson and his team on board with this. So the tournament again, December 18 to 23. Hope you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Beth Oliver with Offshore Sailing School, and we are so delighted to announce that we are hosting our 50th anniversary. That's right. We're based here in Fort Myers, and we've been at South Seas Island Resort on Captiva since 1975, and we're also at the Pink Shell Resort and Marina on Fort Myers Beach. We are hosting our 50th anniversary Celebrity Pro-Am Sailing Regatta, January 8th to the 10th. In 2015, we will be at the Pink Shell. We're having 36 participants. We still have some open spots. It is a benefit for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We are national sponsors and have donated $125,000 over the last 4 years through sailing course tuitions. We invite the public to participate. Any sailing skill level is welcome. And we have Olympians and America's Cup participants. Those are our celebrities, so there are no Kardashians in the bunch. It's actually legitimate sailing professionals, and they're going to be giving you tips and tricks, and it's basically a party with a purpose. So we are welcoming sponsors. We have Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, and we thank Fran Payson and her partners with Merrill Lynch and Bank of America. So please join us. I do have brochures that are sitting on the front table, and I'd like to make a special thank you to the VCB. We partnered with the VCB and TAM. We went to New York City in May and did a national press tour, and we have these beautiful co-branded sails that have the beaches of Fort Myers, Sanibel at the top of them, and we sailed 11 Colgate 26s up the Hudson River, and these will be featured at our Celebrity Pro-Am, so we're very thankful for the support that we get here in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I'd like to put in a plug for offshore sailing. If you see a sailboat on a TV ad, it's out there, and you say, that looks cool, well, you got to know how to run it. These folks can teach you how to do it, and every one of them I've been around is a fun kind of character, and it's a great opportunity. If you ever want to learn how to sail, they'll show you how to do it.
Good morning.
I'm here, and I guess I'm here to talk about the Island Hopper Songwriter Festival, and I attended it, and it was absolutely the best event I think the VCB has ever done. I see a ton of way to grow the event. It was wonderful. So if you didn't get out there, and if they do it again next year, you got to do it. It's the right time of year. It's the right event, and it has tremendous potential. So I'll stop because I know you guys are going to talk about it later. But anyways, it was great. So take care.
Thank you. I think we can talk enough about that event, and I'm looking forward to some of the comments later, but it was a great event. Is anybody else that would like to address the council? Okay, we'll close public comment. Is there anyone from a municipality that would like to speak to the council that's here this morning? Okay. Well, with that, we're going to start our normal proceedings. I'm going to turn it over to Tamara. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you. Happy November. It feels like a while since we've been in this room, because it is a while since we've been in this room.
I forgot to do one thing. Commissioner Brian Hammond is stand up for a second. And he's here this morning joining us. Thank you for being here, Commissioner. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Hammond, for being here. It's always wonderful to have our commissioners join us. Well, the first bit of good news I get to share is the bed tax collections. And since it's November, we have the final fiscal year collections, and I am so excited and proud to report that the final collection numbers for fiscal year 2014 came in at $33.3 million. That's a 16.5% increase over the previous year. You know, I know when we started this year, we knew we were going to have a good year because of the polar vortex, but I think it's important to show that not only did we carry that good year on beyond that cold weather. I mean, we had a good month. You can't come in at 16.5% without having a good month every single month. Double-digit increases. The summer months, July up 16.2, August up 18.2, and September up 15.8. You know, it is really, truly a testament to the strength of tourism in our community, that we have a place that is so desirable for people to visit, and that our marketing efforts and our promotional efforts and our customer service efforts continue to pay off. So congratulations to the industry. You know, this is, as I always say, the tourist tax is just an indicator, because that means that's more money that's getting spent in our community at your hotels, at your accommodations properties. Those same visitors are spending money in our businesses and our attractions across the community, and it's good for our entire community and the people who derive their livelihood from it. So congratulations to everyone. Taking a look at the STAR report. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Because it's November, we always provide you with the tourist tax breakdown, my apology, by area. And you will see this report is slightly revised. There was a change to the statute this year, and it does limit the information that the clerk of court's office can share. If any one area has a single collector that collects 33% or more of the tax for that area cannot be reported. So, Andrea, did I say that right? I try not to pretend like I'm not.
We've got some quizzing looks here. Let's go through that with everyone.
Sure, absolutely. So, the statute that relates to the tourist development tax allows what information can and cannot be shared about the tax collections. And there was a slight change to the language this year. And Andrea, maybe I should defer to Andrea, because I'm certainly not an attorney.
Well, we have Tim Parks and here I can't.
Tammy.
Oh, Tammy Anderson here from the clerk's office, and they can come on up. They're the ones who sort of brought to my attention that the statute had changed regarding how the clerk reports these numbers on behalf of the unfortunately, it's my understanding that the amendment was meant for a very small county. But instead of saying it's meant for this county, they neglected to put in which county it actually was meant to affect. And so it's broad brush and affects every single county.
Statewide.
Statewide. So based on that statutory amendment, the clerk is prohibited from reporting to the public. I'm sorry. The clerk is prohibited from reporting to the public particular entities that collect more than 33% of the tax for that particular area.
Correct.
And so they're sort of hamstrung in how they report the collections.
In the past, you saw some smaller areas represented, Lehigh as an example, Captiva, some of the other areas, which were, you know, kind of small areas with fewer bed tax collectors, and perhaps in some cases a bed tax collector that was collecting more than 33% of the total for that area. So in protecting their privacy, we now have a very different, not very different, but a slightly different looking report. Those communities are in the Lee County line, which quite frankly all of them are unincorporated Lee County anyway, so it makes sense. So you will see the breakdown as we have it. Bonita coming in at 7.6%, Cape Coral at 5.3%, Fort Myers at 6.2%, Fort Myers Beach at 14.3%, Sanibel at 13.8%, the real estate agency collection at 23.5%, and then that unincorporated Lee County area at 29.2%.
Yeah, and if we might, can you describe what changes that are net effect? I'm sure, was it Captiva that was the big change in that report?
Lehigh.
Or Lehigh?
Pretty much all the unincorporated.
Yeah, some of the smaller communities, for example, Lehigh Acres, and yes, Lehigh Acres for one, Captiva for another, and we're looking at others, some of the smaller communities that are unincorporated. They had a single taxpayer. If you synthesize this down to that community, you would say, well, that one taxpayer remits more than 33% of the total from that area. And that falls into the new statute that was passed. The law came into effect July 1st. So from that point forward, we can't say the tax from that particular area. We can't break it down that fine.
So you can't identify a specific business and find out how much revenue they're producing,
Yes.
et cetera. So that's kind of the reason for all that. And this thing's gone full circle because I think it was not that long ago, a few years back, that we weren't able to break it down by municipality. And so now that you're able to do that, this is kind of backing off of that a little bit and making
Yes.
sure that, yeah, so good. Yes, sir.
Well, you can measure it by, for example, the municipalities. We enter them into our tax database by, we use the Lee Property Appraiser. So all these properties, for example, Cape Coral, if they have that strap number, we put it under Cape Coral, and we accumulate all the taxes that are collected from Cape Coral over a period of a year. And then if we look at the top taxpayers within Cape Coral, and if one rose to the top and we could say, gosh, that one remitted more than 33%, then we would have to say, we can't report Cape Coral taxes for that period. It would have to be rolled into another grouping that one taxpayer did not collect more than 33% for that grouping. For example, with some of the unincorporated, we measure them by zip code, for example, and we would identify certain properties that are in Lehigh Acres, and by taking the accumulation of that, what we reported in the past, we would say this is Lehigh Acres total accumulation, but then we would look behind the scenes and one would rise to the top and say that particular tax-paying entity is remitting more than 33% of all of Lehigh Acres. Therefore, we can't report Lehigh Acres as we've identified it. So we rolled it into Lee County unincorporated.
Are there any other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute. Bob, did you have something you wanted to say? You okay?
Tony clarified something for me that I guess maybe most people know, real estate agency. And why is that then broken out from, why wouldn't that then be lumped back into wherever that real estate agency was from?
Well, I think the hard part is, and I'll use an example of one that we're all familiar with. Let's say Royal Shell on Captiva, Sanibel. They have properties on Fort Myers Beach, in Fort Myers. How do you then, Royal Shell, maybe their corporate office is on Sanibel Island, but they're reporting units from throughout Lee County. Do you put that into Sanibel, or do you, it's hard. And in fact, until they audit them, they don't even know which properties they're reporting on. So they're getting a check from a real estate agency that represents potentially multiple areas. So that's...
Aside from the real estate aspect of it, I know Lee County incorporates Captiva and other things. Would it not make more sense to have Sanibel and Captiva as one category to get more of an idea of what the beaches are bringing in? Future?
We could merge the two together, but then you would have properties outside of municipal Sanibel that were lumped inside there. And my understanding is that certain decisions for the TDC are made based on what happens on Sanibel, what happens at Fort Myers Beach, what happens in Fort Myers. So if we grow that, then it skews, the rest.
I mean, you're talking about the real estate, I would assume. So the real estate agency has its own category, but there are hotels and guest houses on Captiva that would make sense to be Sanibel Captiva. Just, I don't know. It's just kinda what
I think an example of what you're talking about is that when we changed representation on this board, it was based on that criteria. And it was based specifically on Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, each one of the municipalities. And if you recall, the two largest share a seat here, and then the other three rotate from there. So because of that, I think is the reason that we're pulling the data together for that.
And Captiva is not considered to be a municipality.
It's unincorporated.
I'd guess Barilla Island too.
All right.
That would skew it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, this has kind of gone full circle in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's actually where it started right there, because we weren't getting this information to begin with. Fran?
And when did the state statute change, and why?
July 1st. It was actually meant for Walton County,
Okay.
but if you all remember when we made our change to our VCD, we wanted it to be changed differently. We actually had a special bill that went up, and it said specifically for Lee County. Well, there was a special bill that went up for Walton County, but they didn't add Walton County's name, so it just applied across the board to all counties.
Okay.
And it went into effect July 1st of this year.
If there's any other state statutes you'd like to talk about today, we got time.
As a matter of fact, we got 3 things we like.
Is there anything else? Anybody have any more questions or comments? Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No,
All
we're
right, well,
willing
thank you.
to give as much information as we possibly can. We want to be as transparent as we can. The law has just changed and reeled in some of that transparency, if you will, and it's the consequence of that bill passing.
Well, obviously, there's keen interest in the information that you put out, so we're watching. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Tamara?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So just to present it another way, a pie chart so you can see the collections by area. I won't belabor this. Let's go on to the STAR report. Thank you. So for the month of September, occupancy up 9.5%, ADR up 4.3%, RevPAR up 4.2%, room revenue up 13.8%. That slight decline we've seen for a while in the available rooms, and then 9.1% increase in rooms sold. Looking at the calendar year, you can see all of the numbers are positive as well. Airport traffic. Airport traffic has been up each of the last 3 months, up 6.1% in July, 7.8% in August, and 8.2% in September. Good news for the airport, and seat capacity hopefully in the future. A quick look at the key indicators. In terms of total inquiries for the month of September, we are up 186%. Leads for the month down 26%. Partner referrals up 15% for the month. And then looking at the fiscal year, inquiries down slightly at 3%. Total leads up 21%, and partner referrals up 41%. And then last but not least, some of those key indicators that we indicated to you we'd be focusing on for the fiscal year. Bed tax collection, I already gave that information to you. Actually, that number there is incorrect, but that's okay. Our target was 3.5%. As I told you, we came at 16.5. In-state visitation, we actually saw a decline in in-state visitation. However, you will see our out-of-state visitation is up significantly. International visitation up significantly, both of those beating our targets by a very significant amount. Length of stay, actually, we were shooting for a greater length of stay. We've seen no change in our length of stay. And our visitor recall is actually better than we anticipated it was going to be. We beat our target there as well. About 35% of our visitors are indicating they recall our ads, which is very good. We're very pleased with that. The STAR report is there for you in your packet. Next, we will ask Pamela Johnson to come up and provide the sales report. Someday I'm hoping that Pamela Johnson isn't giving this report. We're still working.
We're working on it.
We're going to find a sales director.
I like having 2 jobs. I do. I do. I do. I would not know what to do if I only had 1 job to do.
Security.
Yeah, yes, indeed, indeed. They'll keep me around maybe.
It's for sure job security. Couldn't do without Pamela, as you know.
But we do hope to have something to report soon. Good morning, everyone. Great news. I mean, I think Tam kind of went around those bed tax collection numbers, but I mean, that is fantastic, and we are all so excited to be on the tail end of a record-breaking year. So I have good news to report this morning as well. By the way, everyone has the sales and marketing plan for next year. Those beautiful plans that by March in July. So if you didn't come to the opportunity to attend the annual meeting in October, that has some very good information to how we do here and what we're doing for fiscal year 2015. So on the sales end of things, just taking out the meeting sale, we ended with 154 leads. 80 of them went active for a total of almost 38,000 room nights, and that's up significantly for us from last year, about 8%. And I just thought that I would include some of the contracted definite book meetings. I'll go through this quickly in the interest of time. As you can see, we a lot in the area, definitely Florida. In the group to the destination. Also continuing with meetings, we participated in IMEX, a big incentive meetings event in Las Vegas this year with the Westin Cape Coral Resort, and we also had to bring our hotel partners with us. Domestic, Shelley was the outreach to outdoor riders, and even the first time we did a consumer event in Dallas, again, integrating what we do with Morcom, at that market with flight, a good flight we had. So we were very interest shown from the Dallas. Training. With us at Incentive
The visitor services report.
Sure. Good morning. Nice to see you all this beautiful, beautiful day. Makes us all want to go to the beach, doesn't it? Well, you'll be happy to hear, once again, the beaches are hugely popular. That visitors are asking about when they stop at the 5 visitor information booths. It's kind of interesting to us that good old Courtyard by Marriott, Gulf Coast Town Center, is staying very proactive in all the marketing that they are doing. And a kind of a neat thing that really has popped up in the activities area, of course beaches are always right up there in the top, but look at downtown Fort Myers Historic District. Lots of questions being asked about that. And parks, lots of questions about parks. And then in the attractions area, of course, we have our famous Shell Factory, yay, as well as the Edison and Ford Winter Estates. But look at the Imaginarium, Lakes Regional Park, Lover's Key State Park. lots and lots of interest from visitors about the park system. And just a little very briefly of some of the community relations outreach we've done. You can see we've also recruited about 10 different volunteers this year because we're going to be increasing some of these special projects that we're doing. And we have had 6 visitor cases. We don't really have those because those are very targeted, if you will, of the types of do. But when thanks to Crown Plaza, we helped a young man on active duty who needed a on a very basis. We'll go into details, but step forward and make that. And as you can see, the look ahead, we've already participated in some of this fantastic summit that Laura and her team put together, and of course you see some of the volunteer refresher training workshop and customer service. And our tourism ambassador Christmas party, if you want to go, please let me know. December 12th, you'll be getting information from us. Going to be at Buckingham Farms again. And last but not least, Tam may want to mention the Jim Brody workshop next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have.
Hold it down for 1 second. There you go. Judy, how do we compare with the rest of the state? Are we the leaders in our visitor booths and what we do here in Lee County?
We
I
are,
have not
we
seen that
are
across
a, we are an unusual, fascinating, complex, top-of-the-heap anomaly. We are a hybrid, if you will, between CVB/airport. There really is no one that does specifically what we do. There are operations across the country that do different types of either staff-only or volunteer-only structures at the airport. To be frank, most airport communities have staff, paid staff. We are a very unusual thing in that we work very closely with ops and kind of complement the type of customer service. How do we compare statewide? I think we're right up there at the top. Now, Jacksonville may talk with me about that, but they're primarily staff-based. They do have a volunteer team. There are a couple of shining examples across the country, which is why the couple of the workshops that we attended were really powerful to find out who our competitors were. But I would honestly tell you that we are right up there when it comes to doing things really well. And we don't need 500 or 600 volunteers. Our baby team is powerful. How's that for an answer? Do I take pride in that team? Yes, I do.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
You know, I just want to point out how lucky we are. I mean, it's incredible what goes on out there.
And you know, I told when the volunteers were in for their refresher training, I came and spoke to them for a few minutes, kind of rah-rahed them up. And I talked to them about my experience flying out of the Fort Lauderdale airport. You know, Hayden is now in Austin, and that's hard on me, but I get to go see her occasionally, and so I like the direct flight, so I drive over to Fort Lauderdale. Sorry, Bob, but you don't have a direct flight to Austin, so it's easier for me and a little less expensive to fly out of Fort Lauderdale. And, you know, the experience is not the same experience. And a lot of that is because of our volunteers. I mean, we have a beautiful airport, no question. Most beautiful airport in the country. We have, you know, great assets, but the vibe in that airport and the feeling you get is created by these people who are so welcoming and so generous with their time, talent. So, I thank them for all of us, but, I think it's really nice when you're at the airport or you're traveling through, if you can poke your head by and say thanks for being here. It makes a big difference to our visitors.
And if I could add something slightly out of the box this week. We did have a young man sleeping by the monitors who woke up in time to come over and ask our volunteer to wake him in an hour so he didn't miss his flight. And she said, of course.
Life's a hoot at the airport, I promise you. Well, with that, I'm going to ask Marcia Wood from Davidson Peterson Associates to present the third quarter data report.
Good morning. Marcia Wood with DPA here this morning. I wanted to just take a few minutes and go through the report that we have for the third quarter. TAM has the data also for the fiscal year. We don't have that in this report, but as I get to the calendar year to date, I'll point out that it's, the numbers are very similar in terms of the increases. So looking at the summer, can everyone hear me okay? Looking at the summer season highlights for July, August, and September, we do see a very nice increase in our visitation numbers, double-digit, 11% increase. These are the visitors who are staying in paid accommodations. That translated to a 3.5% increase in their spending, and specifically their spending on their lodging accommodations was up 5%. Now, I know that is a little bit lower than what we see in terms of the increase in bed tax collections, but this is on a larger base because it's not just the portion that comes to the city or the county, but it comes directly into the lodging properties. And you'll see that we're still tracking at about a third of the spending among your visitors is on their lodging. Available room nights, as we saw with the STAR report, continues to be down a little bit, but we see that increase in occupied room nights, so that translates to an overall increase in our average occupancy rate for the period. We see a corresponding increase in ADR, which we've seen for the prior few quarters, so we're trending very well there, and revenue per available room as a result is up significantly as well. Looking at the longer-term horizon and how we're tracking, going all the way back to 2008, you see that we're up 13% in our visitation numbers among those staying in paid accommodations, so a significant increase there. If you were to, cut it just to the 5-year mark from 2010, we'd be up even more because we did have a little bit of a dip in 2009, 2010, and then we're rising steadily from that point. Our total visitation numbers are a little bit more in flux, and that, as I've said before, is due to the component of the number of visitors who are staying with friends and relatives. The spending among those guests and visitors, we have a likewise increase in our visitor spending for summer visitors staying in paid accommodations, 11.4% over that longer period of 2008 to 2014. And we do see, from that 2008 period to present, for total spending, we have a decrease. But again, if you look just at the 5-year trend, we do have a significant increase over 2010. So, 2008 was kind of a banner year in terms of our summer visitor spending, but very big fall off in 2009, and we've recovered quite nicely from that. Paid accommodation visitor origin, as we typically see, the majority of the visitors are coming from domestic markets, but as Tam pointed out in the key indicators, we did see a sizable increase in those coming from international markets. In particular, the top 3 are Germany, UK, and Canada, but we saw increases from each of those market areas, so that's very promising. For our domestic markets, we saw that decrease in Florida, but where we picked it up was in the Northeast. In particular, we had very high levels of visitation from the New York DMA. Almost year we had about 6% of the summer season visitors coming from New York. This year we're up to 3%. So that's, really quite remarkable. Because typically we see summer season as being your in-state guests coming.
And I think that's some of the strength in flights out of the New York market. We've seen those enhanced flights, and also some of our efforts in those markets. Yes.
So I think, while I know we never like to see a decrease in one area, but the fact that the increase is, people coming through the airport, I think that's overall is still a very positive thing. For our calendar year to date, so first 3 quarters of the year, we have an even, on par in terms of percentage increase for 10% increase in our visitation among paid accommodations guests. We had 11% for the season, 10% for the first 3 quarters. So this has actually been pretty easy when I come down here each quarter because the numbers keep looking good. So everyone's happy. Total expenditures were up 5%, and their spending on lodging is up 7%. So we're seeing, this greater increase in their lodging when we look at that broader period of time. Available room nights, as we saw with the summer season, slight decline there. Occupied room nights, really relatively on par with what we saw for this time period last year. Average occupancy rate up, ADR up, RevPAR up. Our visitation, when we look at the calendar year, it's a bit more of a steady pace increase from the 2008 period, particularly looking at our paid accommodations visitation over that 7-year period. We have basically a 45% increase in paid accommodations visitors, so that's quite remarkable. And even our total visitation is up fairly sizably. Visitor expenditures follows that same pattern, although the magnitude of the changes are not quite as great. From 2008, we're seeing a 15% increase among our paid accommodations guests. And if you look at it from 2010, again, a much larger jump in those spending numbers. And that's both in paid accommodations visitors and total visitors, including those staying with their friends and relatives. Just taking you through some more of the details on the lodging industry data that we collect. You see this trend downward in our available room nights for both the summer season and the calendar year to date, but the corresponding increase in occupied room nights. So that gives us a nice stepwise increase for both the summer season and the calendar year to date in occupancy rate. And this just provides you with the detail by category. So just, don't want to spend a lot of time, but the hotel motel category we see continuously increasing, more fluctuation in the condo vacation home category, and some of that is due to some inventory adjustments that we're seeing in terms of things that have come out of the inventory with real estate properties mostly. Real estate agencies, I should say. Our ADR also trending upward over the 5-year period, both in terms of the summer season and the calendar year to date. Remarkably, though, just looking again at that 2013 to 2014 for calendar year to date, I mean, we were, kind of creeping up a little bit from 2010, 11, 12, 13, but then this big jump from 2013 to 2014. So, clearly, in my opinion, taking more confidence in terms of rate, which is a good thing. And we did see that increase was across all of the categories, really more or less flat in terms of our RV park and campground category. Oops. So in terms of our RevPAR then, we see, again, that increase over the 5-year period for both the summer season and the calendar year to date, and by category as well. For the season, overall, going back to 2010, we had only 13% of the property managers that we spoke with that here looking ahead to the 3 months, and 31% said they were the same. We had this very, you had half of them who said that they were down. So that's a different view since that time period, and looking more positive, 11 up, 2015 huge shift where we saw them who said their observations were up in the next months, and we see that their reservations are up for the next 3 months. Who said the same. So it's intense that the upper, so I think going back to next time that should have some good to report again. Satisfaction stands to reason of the great work with the training that visitors are 9 in 10 who said that they're very satisfied or satisfied with the visit. And particularly those who are staying in are also, very positive. They're saying that were or exceeded. Some, that's the majority, and then some saying that at least their expectations were met. Recommending Lee County versus other areas in Florida, 89% they will do so, same as last year. And they'll also return. And remarkably, we see that more than half of them say that they'll return here. So surprising, because we do tend to see a high proportion of repeat visitors, but always good to see those numbers holding year over year. And that's my presentation. Any questions?
I noticed 3 out of 4 of those rates were just down a smidgen.
It's not enough to really mean anything. I mean,
something to pay attention to.
No, I really wouldn't say. Whereas it's more from a statistical standpoint, it's noise that you're going to see some fluctuation.
I will say this, it is something we keep an eye on very closely. And you'll remember in our strategic plan conversation, we talked about product and product enhancement and the need for product enhancements. We are continuing to work on these issues. In fact, one of our commitments as part of the strategic plan was to have a consultant do a product audit for us, and that product audit is actually underway. I just want to but yes, the reason we're tracking it, for sure.
This question will be a little less harsh and probably a little more for the marketing folks from the VCB. We've been, about 2 years, we were talking a lot about and seeing there. How are we doing in Canada? I mean, obviously, you think there's a lot more potential there. I guess I want to get feedback from everybody on that.
Sure. I mean, will come up and speak, but my first conversation is we're looking at summer quarter, and that's not the highest visitation time for the Canadians, as we all know. I mean, it is really beautiful there this time of year, but I feel like our Canadian numbers have been sound. We feel very good about our efforts there. In fact, we feel very good about international in general. Mm-hmm. When we rolled out the marketing plan, you heard us talk about international. I think that's one area where we can really grow business. I think a lot of times, we steal business from each other, especially in state. But focusing on some of those international opportunities, we know they stay longer, they spend more, they are very good for our economy. So, Pamela, if you want to speak to anything specifically, I'm happy to have you do that. But I think that, we feel good.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo that, and definitely we're very bullish on Canada. Have some marketing initiatives going in Canada for this year. We are also trying to do more in the incentives and meetings market in Canada, trying to grab a piece of that. But you know, we continue to have really good service, and a lot of them, particularly those in Ontario, come down through Buffalo and other places in the U.S. But yeah, absolutely.
And good air service. I mean, you know, there's a reason. It's just like, you know, exploring Texas. It's good air service. So, you know, we're doing the things that make the most sense.
Yeah, and where we tend to see the Canadians is, you know, the polar vortex months. So that's what we'll continue to watch in terms of our winter visitation.
Thank you very much, Marcia.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Tim. Generally, we have Jeff Melke here for the sports development. He's not here today because he's
on the road.
He's on the road. He was actually on the road last weekend, too. On Fort Myers Beach, he had to wear harness. And that's possible what Jeff is supposed to do. The whole amateur sports very hard to report as to what the sports complex for the kids are. It's coming up nicely. We'll be ready on time for opening day spring training. But I think that really have to volunteers come alongside. I tell you, I've said before, that we're on track to be completed on time. We're going to have a solid running party. So I think we will. We will absolutely be finished for opening day.
Construction and design.
Questions
First of all, it's very interesting to me because I do the songwriters. Songwriters can be interested in seeing it. Festival, but we sold 24 packages, room night packages for the songwriters, and then another 70 rooms overall were related to the Songwriter Festival. So those types of things to me show a great impact for business, but for the experience, we talked to many of our guests who had been there, but didn't know the Songwriter Festival was going on. So they got to get involved with it, and they said, by golly, next year, if you're doing this, let us know. We're going to come, and the magic words will stay longer. So those are always great things to hear from the staff. But I got to congratulate the staff because to start an event, a signature event like this, takes a tremendous amount of effort on their part. But I thought that the results, certainly on Captiva and how we felt and how the songwriters felt about coming out there, was as important as the experience as the guests. They have to enjoy it too. So overall, I congratulate everybody, and I hope that we go forward and do it. And it was a great time to do it because we all know what September, the doldrums can be like. So on behalf of our staff, everybody, thank you guys. It was a pleasure for us to do it.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Tim, I know that you may have told people this in the past, but I think it bears repeating, and it says an awful lot about the event. Key West also has a Songwriters Festival, yes?
They do.
And the number of artists after how many years in Key West versus the number of artists for our inaugural event?
The first year that Key West started their event, they had 6 artists. In the first year of our event, we had 53 artists. So just to put it in context, I mean, you know, we can, as I always say, go big or go home, right? You know, we wanted to do it big, and I think we did do it big. And, you know, certainly, I mean, this is, you know, this is about the businesses and the success for them, but I think it's really important that the appropriate people on the team get thanked. I mean, every single person on the staff had to give up their weekends to make this happen. There's not a single person that didn't work those weekends and make that happen. But they give up a lot of weekends. That just is the one we all know about. But that weekend, those 2 weekends in particular, but particularly Laura Chmielewski, our marketing and communications director, this was her idea. She made it happen. She brought it to life, and she made, you know, really and truly inspired the team to be excellent. And then Amanda Auer and Cindy Pinson, they made it happen. And, you know, again, you know, for 27 people to pull off what we pulled off, you know, and we had some help, don't get me wrong, but it's an amazing effort. And what I love about it is Tony said, you know, certainly we worked with our accommodations partners, and at the end of the day, everything we do is about heads in beds and trying to create an immediate demand for people to come to our destination and stay on our properties. But it also benefited the restaurateurs, the bars, the grills, and everyone else. Everybody, there was all kinds of activity, and I was thinking, you know, the little the general store in Andy Lassie Lane was closed that weekend. Man, I bet they are regretting that they were closed that weekend.
One other thing too, Tony, I mentioned that one of the things that you guys put into the agenda was doing a Sunday brunch at the old Captiva House, and that brunch sold out. And so that's it was a great venue, and it was a nice attraction as well.
Very, very happy. And, you know, I mean, then, as Tony mentioned, you've got to remember the backside of it, too. You've got this group of songwriters who have never been to our area. Most of them had never been in the area, getting exposed. And, I mean, these are creative minds. You know, my fantasy land is, you know, someday in the future we're going to have a song about our area being, you know, sung by Alan Jackson, or, you know, I don't know who. I'm not the expert on music, but, I mean, you know, someone big. I was going to say Garth Brooks, but he has been, right? He's back, all right. I'm dating myself. But anyway,
I'll cut you off on that one.
The point is, you know, it's very exciting that we have the opportunity to not only expose our destination to visitors and give them a new experience, but we also brought in this group of songwriters, and rumor has it, we're the buzz in Nashville. I mean, it's like, how do I get in on that gig? I want in next year. So with that, I think we have someone else.
You know, and I'd just like honorable mention for a younger, one of my favorite artists, Garth Brooks, who is, has been, what's the definition?
Oh,
that's all right.
I meant his time had passed. He's a very popular guy, for sure.
Does anybody got a shovel? You know what? Next is someone that I know personally, Steve D'Angelo. I call him Stevie D. That's what everyone calls him on the beach. And if there was ever a mecca center for tourist development on Fort Myers Beach, this guy is our poster child, because he's the one that makes so many things happen on the beach. And I can't imagine anyone that would be a better representative and informative about the song.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Yeah, microphones, second hand here. I am here to represent Rob DeGennaro, as I do at any function that requires more than shorts and a T-shirt. So, we're speaking about the Alan Hopper Songwriters Festival. You guys did an amazing job. Oh my God. Well, you guys, first-year events are always the scariest. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to go. They knocked it out of the park. I still get phone calls on a daily basis asking, when are you going to have the next one? When's it going to be? I got a phone call yesterday from artists who want to come into town during that weekend just so they can get in on the action. We saw a tremendous increase during that weekend, and I think that that's always a time of year where we always see the decrease as you get into that last part of September, beginning of October, before things really kick in. So that filled in a gap for us. We were certainly up 40%. I didn't bring any graphs or charts, so I apologize for that. But I do want to say that, again, for a first-year event, the amount of effort and planning and logistics that go into doing this, I've done several events down there, concerts and otherwise. I can't imagine doing a better job than these girls did. So thank you so much. Thank you, Laura. Larry, thank you. And I want to congratulate Jeff Milkey as well for the Roy Hobbs event. Wow, those guys bring a ton of business to the beach, and we look forward to having them back for several years to come as well. So thanks, Larry, for coming down and doing that presentation. Have a wonderful day.
Do you have any questions for Steve? Thanks a lot. Keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
And since the question has been asked already twice, I heard, mark your calendar, September 18th through 27th. We're going to do the last 2 weekends in September with some midweek events. Start growing it. Fantasyland, we hope we grow this to a whole month-long event to benefit our community. And we know September is when the business is needed. I will say this, we got really lucky with great weather this September. I mean, really, really lucky with great weather. You know, let's hope that continues. That certainly helped, you know, but we have planned this event so that it is an indoor event, so that the venues where they're performing might be able to be outside, but also can be inside if we have rain or inclement weather. So that's the intention of the program, so that we don't have those challenges.
You know, at the very beginning of this, you had one for amateurs, and you did your own songwriter. And back to your comment, was the criteria was for a song that was about this area. And the winner of that got, what happened to them? Tell me what happened.
So the winner, the top two performers in that event actually performed during the Songwriter Festival. They had slots during the event, so they performed. One of them performed on Captiva, and one of them performed at Fort Myers Beach. So they had their opportunity to be included in the bigger event. So you know, it's a great way to grow our local talent as well and give them exposure. And interesting, you know, I could go on because this kind of took over our lives, let's be honest. But you know, there was a young man from Naples who came up and participated in a lot of the events, and those guys were getting together and writing music when they weren't performing. And he's like, you can't believe who I was just writing a song with. He's helping me with my music. So it wasn't just about us, it was about them too. And you know, that's the way events become great, is when it's about them and not about you.
I think so. We were at the Shell Factory for that event, yeah.
Absolutely.
And, there was a lot of people there. Absolutely. And they really did have a good time.
Great passion.
All right, so with that, we're going to move on with the new business, and we're looking for a motion to adopt the final 2013-14 budget report.
So moved.
All right. Second. We have a motion by Renee and a second by Fran. Is there any discussion or comments? Any objections? Motion passes. And next, we need an approval of the FY 2015 sales and marketing plan.
I know you all were at the annual meeting and you have a copy, but there's one in front of you in case you need it. As we talk about this, it's a bit of a formality for you to approve it.
Well done. Very well put together.
You enjoyed the annual meeting? Good.
And if I may have a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a motion by Tony and a second by Renee. Is there any further discussion or comments? Is there any objections? Motion passes. Thank you. And then, Tamara, you have any extra information for the TDC?
There are several articles in that packet that I recommend you take a look at when you have a few spare moments, but no, nothing specific.
Okay. Any comments for Tamara? Okay, with that, then we're going to go around the board and ask the members if they have any items, and I'm going to start with Tony.
Well, I just have one comment. October, we kicked off the United Way campaign. Roger, you were there. You did a great job with the mic, I might add, at the kickoff. But I have a plea this year for all the hotelers. We are the largest employer of Lee County in the hospitality industry. And yet Publix is out there is making $1.5 million for United Way. So I'm hoping that all the hotels this year, many of them, will participate in employee contribution plans. This is a very easy thing to do, and you will be humbled by those people who give to the United Way, who are making, I would say, somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $9 to $12 an hour. These people give, and they give generously for what they do. So you would be surprised that if you let the United Way come in and help you put an employee campaign, what an impact the hotel industry can have for this whole community. So I urge you, if you get a call from me or somebody else, to listen to a presentation, and you'll be surprised about how your employees will step forward and help out once they understand all the good that we do. So on behalf of that, that's all I have for this.
Thank you, Tom. Robert?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Colleen?
Two things is, one is that we are actually
Give her the
tagging-
microphone.
Sorry. We're tagging on to the United Way for the first time this year. We'll be doing something interesting with our membership. We just decided this yesterday. That Friday before Super Bowl, we are going to do a Jersey Day. So we're going to reach out into our membership, see if they want to put their own program together on site, and then we're going to go out and take some pictures, do some social media fun, and that kind of thing. to tag on to the Island Hoppers, we had a great time. It was a great event, and I have to share an interesting story. I told Laura I was out at the first night, the night of opening, out at South Seas, and I posted on Twitter that I was out there, put some pictures up. Well, there's a very savvy store owner on Captiva, because she tagged me on Twitter and said, "Hey, you know, Colleen, are you on your way, while you're on Captiva, stop by our shop." She got me both days we were out there. So she was following the feed of another event to get people to come in to her shop. I'm like, how smart is she? Because there were all these people on the island that could have stopped in. I'm like, that was so savvy. I was very impressed with that. But on for the chamber, we are living on the edge this year and moving our holiday party. Breaking tradition, we are moving our holiday party to the new marina at Edison Ford, and it is on December 2nd because Chris Pendleton has been kind enough to allow access to the estates and holiday nights as part of the package for our holiday party. So it's like you get two for the price of one. So that event's December 2nd. We'd love to see you guys, and then you also get to go through the estates at the same time if you'd like. That's it for me.
Thank you. Andrew? Emma?
I just want to add United Way comment. Very proud to report that we have, for the first time ever, 100% participation in the VCB. All the staff, 100% of the staff stepped up to the plate, and we like to be first at everything, so we wanted to be the first ones to announce that at the county managers meeting. So we did announce that first. I think a few people have followed on behind us. I want to be honest, but it was exciting. We like to be first, as you know. And then shame on me, when I was mentioning the people for the Songwriters Festival, I didn't appropriately thank Nancy McPhee. Nancy is the glue that makes everything happen on that team. So, Laura and Nancy, Cindy and Amanda, the four of them, I mean, honest to goodness, that event wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those four ladies.
Thank you, Tamara. Roger? Fran?
I'm sorry that I don't have your hot list today from the airport, but I promise I'll put it in the mail to you. There's nobody here from the airport today, I don't think.
All right, Renee?
I would just want to make another plug for this marketing plan. Be sure and take this marketing plan with you. There's a lot of good data in there that will help you in your own marketing efforts. I know you mentioned Canada. In here it'll tell you that the Canadian business is up 64% over last year. It tells you where the people are coming from, again, for your marketing efforts. It's a good document. Take it with you. I hope we have plenty here for people.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, just let you know, of course, 2015 is coming to an end, so that or coming to a beginning. So, of course, it means a lot of holiday get-togethers. So, Lee County Hotel Association has two events to tell you about. On November 20th at Pink Shell Resort at 4:30 p.m. is our monthly get-together. It's not going to be the luncheon like we normally do. It's going to be kind of an afternoon, possibly involving some cocktails event. Also, it starts our 2015 membership run. So what that means is that you can bring, free of charge, a guest of your choice, hopefully a possible new member. Usually it's $25 a piece, but you can bring your own guest to this event. And again, it's going to be at the Pink Shell Resort on November 20th. And then our holiday Christmas party is going to be a little different this year as well. It's going to be December 18th, which is a Thursday. And it's going to be at the new Six Bend Harley-Davidson dealership. So that should be a lot of fun. Great food, hopefully some great music, and just a great time out there to see what that event is all about. And I, too, just wanted to say, great time for that Island Hopper Songwriters Fest. My wife and I went out both weekends, had just a great time. It was really well organized, really well put together, and just brought a whole new, I think, light to our county. Brought together a lot of neat people that typically don't look like your typical traveler to Lee County. And I think that's really important because it makes us look really diversified. And I think it also brings a whole added layer of the culture and arts that we have, and this just kind of elevates it to a whole different level. So I think that thing is fantastic. I look forward to next year. I also, as another plug, because I'm going to keep bugging you guys about this, about that, hopefully we'll see some events in downtown Fort Myers. So just a little plug that Laura always likes to slap me about, but it would be nice to see something in downtown. Don't you think, downtown Fort Myers? A little plug there. Yeah, so that's all I have.
We can't let you two sit next to each other.
You haven't heard nothing yet. I wasn't, the songwriter event, I couldn't go, gave my tickets to a friend who took her daughter. Her daughter writes songs. She's shy. She met a songwriter. I'll tell you, that event probably changed that young lady's life forever. So that's another side of that. Colleen, thanks for mentioning the Edison Ford Winter Estates. It's one of the top 10 historic homes in the United States. The ones I've been to, I'd rate it number 2. Can't hardly beat Mount Vernon. And Commissioner, thanks for your City of Palms remark. And Pam, when you talk about the weather, nobody benefited more from the weather this summer than our contractor growing in the grass at Fort Myers Country Club. It's open for play. Commissioner Cocker was out there a couple of weeks ago, and some of the rest of us. It's a fantastic event and a fantastic venue. And if you have hotel guests that say, where can we play golf? Don't be afraid to call this number, 321-7488. It's Fort Myers Country Club, and the rates are very competitive. It's a great venue. Thank you.
And you forgot, if I may, somebody over here kind of helped you out. Remember that? Somebody from the chamber might have helped you out on your opening day.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing them out.
Well, Colleen, who's got your back? Who's got your back? You're welcome. Go ahead. We had the privilege to, Roger and I was with Billy Mitchell and the mayor and our foursome, and Forrest and his group was behind us, and they kept hitting into us all day. Thank goodness we were in the fairway. They missed us every time.
If we're in the middle of the fairway.
Well, actually, those shots were from our 72-year-old lady who probably could have whipped every one of us in our group.
We did neglect to mention that she was the only one in the fairway from that foursome.
And long ball, I think, if I'm right, yeah. So, but you guys looked, well, okay, not all that good. All right. And as tradition, we always save the best for last. Nothing against anybody here, but always positive comments from Pam, so we would love to hear from you.
Well, I don't have anything shameless this week, so let's end with a little bit of sap. Since the holidays are upon us and Thanksgiving's coming up, I think that we're also thankful for the fabulous year we've had, the fabulous year we're looking forward to, and the relationships we've made and I've made on my many years on this board, how important those are to all of us. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I hope it's just a wonderful time of year for each and every one of you.
Thank you. With that, meeting is adjourned.
See you later.
Next month,